Every single thing that's made you healthier in this series, sauna, zone 2 cardio, cold exposure, fasting, even exercise itself, works through the exact same underlying mechanism. One mechanism. And almost nobody talks about it by name. It is called hormesis, and understanding it will change how you think about every health decision you make for the rest of your life. Today, I am going to explain exactly what hormesis is at a biological level, why it is the foundational principle behind longevity science, and how every tool in your anti-aging toolkit connects back to it. This is the video that ties the entire series together.
Hormesis describes a specific biological dose-response relationship, one that has been studied since 1888, when Hugo Schultz first documented it in yeast. When plotted on a graph, it forms an inverted U shape. A small dose of a stressor produces a beneficial adaptive response. No stress produces no adaptation, and too much stress produces damage. The dose is everything. A landmark PubMed review concluded that hormesis is a fundamental component of adaptability, highly conserved across all biological systems, broadly generalizable and independent of the biological model, the inducing agent, and the mechanism involved. In plain terms, this isn't a niche idea. This is how biology works. Here is the core mechanism. When your body experiences a mild stressor, heat, cold, exercise, caloric restriction, it activates a coordinated cellular stress response. This triggers 3 primary pathways simultaneously. Pathway 1, AMPK. AMP-activated protein kinase is your body's primary cellular energy sensor. When energy drops during fasting or exercise, AMPK activates. Research confirmed that AMPK acts as a central pro-longevity target. It promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, activates autophagy, suppresses inflammatory mTOR signaling, and stimulates fat oxidation. All at once. Pathway 2, heat shock proteins. Both sauna and exercise activate HSP70 and HSP90. These molecular chaperones repair misfolded proteins, protect cell membranes under stress, and are directly involved in the cellular repair processes that slow aging. The more frequently you trigger them through hormetic stress, the more robust your cellular repair machinery becomes. Pathway 3, autophagy. This is the cellular self-cleaning process, where your body breaks down and recycles damaged proteins, dysfunctional organelles, and cellular debris. Exercise, fasting, and heat stress all activate autophagy through AMPK's phosphorylation of ULK1, a specific trigger for the autophagy initiation complex. Now here is what makes this extraordinary. These 3 pathways, AMPK, heat shock proteins, and autophagy, are the exact same pathways activated by every single intervention this series has covered. Exercise, both resistance and aerobic, is the most studied hormetic stressor in human biology. The mechanical stress and metabolic demand of training activates AMPK, stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis via PGC1 alpha, triggers HSP production, and activates autophagy. The temporary muscle damage of training is not a side effect. It is the mechanism. Without the stress, there is no adaptation. Sauna works the same way. The heat stress at 80 to 100 degrees Celsius is a controlled thermal stressor that activates HSP70 and HSP90, triggers cardiovascular adaptations, and activates autophagy in multiple tissue types simultaneously. The Cupio study's finding of 40% lower all-cause mortality in frequent sauna users is the population-level outcome of a lifetime of repeated hormetic heat stress. Zone 2 cardio, 60 to 70% of maximum heart rate, sits precisely in the optimal hormetic zone for cardiovascular and mitochondrial adaptation. Too little intensity produces minimal adaptation. Too much intensity chronically accumulates fatigue and can suppress immune function. Zone 2 is the scientific sweet spot on the inverted U curve. Cold exposure activates a distinct but overlapping hormetic pathway, primarily through the release of norepinephrine. Studies in humans have documented plasma norepinephrine increases of over 500% compared to resting levels following cold water immersion. Norepinephrine drives mood improvement, metabolic activation, and enhanced focus, while repeated cold exposure trains the nervous system's stress response.
Intermittent fasting activates hormesis through caloric restriction mimicry, triggering AMPK by depleting cellular energy stores, suppressing mTOR signaling, and activating autophagy. Research confirmed that different dietary interventions, including intermittent fasting, produce similar molecular changes to caloric restriction, promoting longevity through the same AMPK-mTOR autophagy axis. Even polyphenols, the compounds in green tea, olive oil, dark chocolate, and blueberries, work through hormesis. They are mild pro-oxidants that at low doses trigger your body's own antioxidant defense systems, producing a net effect far greater than their direct chemical activity would suggest. This is the reason why high-dose antioxidant supplements have consistently failed to extend lifespan in clinical trials, and in some cases have reduced it. You remove the hormetic signal, your cells stop adapting, and you replace a dynamic biological process with a passive one.
The critical principle that connects all of this is the dose-response curve. Every hormetic intervention has an optimal dose range. Below it, insufficient stimulus, no adaptation. Within it, powerful beneficial response. Above it, overtraining, chronic stress, damage. More is not better. Optimal is better. The practical implication: you are not trying to maximize stress. You are trying to apply the right dose of the right stressor with adequate recovery between exposures. The adaptation happens during the recovery, not during the stress itself. This is why rest days matter as much as training days, why sauna should be periodized, why fasting needs to be cycled. The hormetic window requires a recovery phase to produce adaptation. Without it, repeated stress becomes chronic stress. And chronic stress is aging in a bottle, as we covered in video 1.
The practical protocol from Hormesis Science: Zone 2 cardio 3 to 4 times weekly, sauna 4 to 7 times weekly, intermittent fasting, cycled, not permanent, and 1 to 2 full rest days per week. There is one more layer to this. Hormetic stressors are synergistic, not additive. When you combine sauna with Zone 2 cardio, the combined hormetic response is greater than the sum of the parts, because both activate overlapping but distinct pathways simultaneously. Sauna post-exercise is not just convenient, it is mechanistically superior to either in isolation. The single most important concept to take from this video: your body does not get stronger from rest. It gets stronger from controlled stress followed by rest. Every adaptation your body has ever made, bigger muscles, lower resting heart rate, better insulin sensitivity, longer telomeres, happened because a hormetic stressor told your cells that the current baseline was insufficient. That is hormesis. That is the mechanism behind every longevity intervention in this series. And that is why, done correctly with proper recovery, stress is not your enemy. It is the signal your body needs to become more resilient, more efficient, and biologically younger. If this changed how you see everything we've covered, hit subscribe and the bell. Drop a comment. Which hormetic practice are you already doing without knowing it had a name? I read every reply. See you next week.